Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently working on our Minmus colony, which is still in the planning stage, although it's pretty much going to be the same thing as the moon colony. It's pretty much fundamentally the same. Like, it'll take a little bit less delta V, but we're probably not even going to bother changing anything. Surface deployed seismic sensor science from the deployment on the moon. We're probably not going to bother with that. That will require that we actively drop things onto the moon. So I think we'll avoid that for now. I was just checking to see if there were any other fancy contracts to be done, but no. Looks good. So we're going to open up our colony core here. And I think we'll just send this as is. Yeah, we're going to have extra fuel, but that's okay. So we're going to send along Acing, and I think we'll send Henfraud. That'll be fine. So they will be the ones that will start this colony. Of course, they can always get additional Kerbals sent to them via a delivery mission eventually if they need additional Kerbals to run the colony. So that will be absolutely fine, and I think overall we're just ready to launch this straight up. So let's just head off to Minmus right away here. Excellent. So we will throttle up and SAS on as soon as it's loaded in here. Any moment now, KSP. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. Okay, throttle up, SAS on, and off we go. Cool. And we're going to just head on over here a little bit. We'll just lock to prograde now. Beautiful. Nice little sunrise launch here going on. I like it. Our heading is slightly off. I would like to adjust that down a little bit. Cool. But this is an absolutely beautiful launch. I like it. Also, I like the landing indicator right there. That's pretty great. So we're already at 45 degrees, and time to apoapsis is holding. Or actually, it's still going up. So that's good. We're going pretty sideways already. I think we have too much horizontal speed here. The unfortunate part is we can't really change that at this moment. That said, our time to apoapsis is still increasing. So I think we're fine here. It's just slightly awkward. A little bit much on the horizontal speed, but it actually, now that I say that, there is no such thing as too much horizontal speed as long as we don't have parts burning off. Our time to apoapsis is increasing, and we need to separate here. Cool. Okay. So as long as we don't have parts burning off, it's okay. And as long as we make it to orbit, right? Because we're losing some speed due to atmospheric drag. There's no doubt about that. But our time to apoapsis is increasing. I would have preferred to be higher up in the atmosphere by now. And we are seeing some heating effects here. So it's definitely a little bit too aggressive of a gravity turn. There's no doubt about that. We could go on to stability assist and try to get a little bit more verticality. Something like this. We don't want to go too much, but just get a little bit more vertical speed here. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of heating effects. Now we can go back to prograde because our apoapsis height is plenty high. And I'm just going to take this up to about 150. 167. There we go. Losing a bit due to drag. That'll be fine. So once we arrive up here, we will go ahead and do a circularization burn. We're still quite low in the atmosphere. So something kind of like this, although we're probably going to want to adjust it. Cool. And we can see we've lost 7 kilometers here. We may have to do some maintenance of our speed. We'll see. We are starting to finally make our way through the atmosphere, but that was too aggressive of a turn. That was too aggressive. That's very clear. Okay, but overall, it looks like it's going to work. So that's fantastic. We're just going to continue heading on up here. I'm going to physics warp at this time. And we're just aiming for about 150. As long as it's above... Well, actually, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter at all. I'm aiming for 150, but it looks like we're going to be at 156. We're now in space. Let's go ahead and ditch our fairing. Not like it's much of a fairing. And that's great. We can extend our solar panels now. Cool. And let's adjust our actual positioning here. There we go. And our actual velocity can be slightly tweaked. So it's only 160 meters per second to get into orbit from here. So all things considered, that could have gone a lot worse. Slightly too aggressive on the gravity turn, but overall it was okay. We did lose a good amount of velocity due to air resistance, and I don't love that. We can extend this ladder now. We don't need to not extend that ladder. Cool. And we'll position for the actual orbital insertion burn here. We should have more than enough delta V to make all this happen, so I'm not concerned about that at all. Okay, let's position here. 56 seconds. Let's tick on forward. 10 seconds. 2, 1, mark. And off we go. Beautiful. We're now officially in orbit, and we're just circularizing the orbit. Close enough. Overshot by a little bit. It'll be fine. So we're heading off not to the moon, but rather to Minmus. So we have a little bit extra that we need to do here, of course. Minmus is in an inclined orbit. So we need to... Oh, this unset the target? There we go. We'll reset that target. And we need to come around to the ascending node here is going to be the next point that we can do that at. And alter our inclination. -0.3, -0.2. We're probably going to have to change our timing here. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, beautiful. So we'll just get rotated over for that. That's going to be 253.5 meters per second. Looks good. Absolutely no problem whatsoever there, but this rotation is going to be a little slow. We're not shocked about that at all. Up we go. Yeah, this is definitely a slow rotation. No doubt about that one. Okay, so position about here. And we'll warp on forward. We'll adjust this positioning in a moment. Okay. Adjusting the positioning slightly here. It really wants to drift downwards, which is interesting. Come on. That tiny little reaction wheel doing its best. Okay. We'll position there. We'll call that good. 30 seconds to go. 20. 10. 2, 1, mark. Ah, no, that's the problem. Okay, we were still on prograde. Cool. Got it under control, though. Got it under control. Is this good enough? Kinda. Okay, I'm gonna stop that momentum. We're gonna come back up over here. We might not actually be able to fix this at this point to be quite where we want it to be. In fact, we should probably warp to about here. Now that I look at that. That would make it a lot better. So we'll go ahead and warp on up. Because the ascending node was pushed slightly forward. So that's actually convenient for us. We'll position here and just very, very gently burn. There we go. We needed very little to make that happen. Okay, Minmus is currently here. It takes a while to get out to Minmus. So we're probably going to be looking at... I just set that as our target. Okay, let's set you as our target. Let's add in a maneuver sometime around here-ish. We may have to alter that timing a bit, but let's see. What's this look like? That's pretty close, actually. But yes, we will have to alter the timing slightly. So we'll bring the apoapsis down to around there-ish. Okay, sometime around here, I guess. Yeah, that'll do. So what's that looking like for our encounter? Well, we're coming in retrograde, which on Minmus doesn't mean a whole lot. But let me try to grab our maneuver here. Hello, maneuver. Hello. Can I select you? Please? Apparently I cannot select the maneuver. Okay, so we'll have to focus Kerbal. We'll have to try to grab this. Wow, I just can't grab this maneuver. There we go. Sheesh. Okay, so with that grabbed, we're going to then bring this back a little bit here. That's looking a lot better. It's better. It's not exactly what we want. I just can't grab the maneuver from here. And without being able to select this maneuver, it's going to be very hard to get this set up. Okay, there we go. I was able to grab it from this angle. So that sounds good. We're going to bring in our periapsis. I don't necessarily want to be retrograde here, so we're going to flip it around and bring that in to be... Is this still going to be retrograde? No, this is not. Okay, cool. So we'll bring it in to be something like that. We can adjust our inclination on it as well. Oh, that's sensitive. Okay. Yeah, we can adjust our inclination as well to get something a little bit more equatorial. It doesn't have to be exactly equatorial. No, I don't want to do that. I want to adjust this. There we go. Okay, bring it back. Perfect. Okay. And then bring it out this way like so-ish. That is extremely sensitive. Okay, this is probably good enough. All we're going to be looking to do is land probably in one of the flats. We could land near our Probodobodyne experiment control station, but I think I'd rather land somewhere else. That'll probably be for the best. So we'll call this good, and we will position for that burn. Very slowly. Let's go ahead and physics warp this turn, because, as I said, it is incredibly slow. And we'll just come out of the physics warp. And that'll do for now. We need to come over to the left a little bit. There we go. Cool. And now we'll just go ahead and warp on forward. Fantastic. And we will commence this burn here in just a moment. There we go. In about a minute. So let's warp on forward here. 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, mark. And off we go. Cool. So we're heading off to Minmus here. This is going to burn the majority of the fuel in this tank, but by no means is it going to burn all of it. We'll have about, what, 400 meters per second left or so? Something along those lines. Just adjusting our heading ever so slightly here. We're definitely going to have some node chasing happening. How's that looking? Okay, that's quite a lot. Let's hop on over to retrograde here. And let's just look to bring that back around. And we're probably even going to thrust limit our engine here. This is probably going to be too much thrust to feasibly do, so we're going to go down to 2% thrust. Oh yeah, this is way better at 2% thrust. Beautiful. So we're just going to bring this around so that we are not going retrograde. There we go. Not bad at all. Cool. Something around there. We'll go ahead and warp to here. And at this periapsis, we will be adding a maneuver. And this maneuver is, of course, just going to be a circularization. There we go. Beautiful. Now, we're not in a perfect equatorial orbit here, but we don't need to be. So that'll be fine. And there we go, entering the sphere of influence of Minmus. Let's position for this burn. We were trying to go over to retrograde, and that's not exactly where we want to go here. And there's Minmus. Fantastic. Okay, let's warp on forward. We're slightly off of this node, but it doesn't really matter. So we're going to get our circularization around Minmus done here in a moment. There we go, warping on forward. We're about 15 seconds from our burn, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and 2, 1, mark. Cool. Ah, right, we're still thrust limited. Let's unthrust limit that. Now we're about 2 minutes from our burn. Okay, let's warp on forward here. And 40 seconds, 30, 20, 10, and now. There we go. That's a little bit more like it. Beautiful. So we're now on an impact trajectory. I don't think we want that. We're just going to bring this on around and circularize again. I'd like to land in a different flats than this. If we wanted to land in these flats, that would be okay. But I don't think that's what we want. So we're going to bring this around and push our periapsis back out a bit. Cool. We don't need to be fully circular here, and we're not going to be fully circular, but this will be absolutely fine. And then we can warp around and maybe target like these flats here. So maybe like down over here. So we would warp here, and while we're warping, we can set up a maneuver node sometime around here to bring our inclination down to something kind of like this. That said, this is still orbiting, so we're going to have to change our timing on this, most likely. Or rather, it's still revolving. Cool. So something along the lines of this. We'll go ahead and warp up to here and do a final adjustment on it. And we probably want to be targeting a little bit ahead of the flats, kind of like this, to compensate for it rotating underneath us, right? So that'll be fine, and we'll just head on down. We're supposed to start this burn, like, now? Okay. Well, it doesn't really matter. We can burn it a little bit later. That's okay. So we're just going to head on down here. Okay. Cool. That'll do. Then, once we are around here-ish, we can just kill our horizontal velocity and start dropping straight down. Like, yeah, we could lose some verticality. We could. We could do that by doing our braking burn more like here. And coming in kind of like this. Yeah, we could do something like that. That's sort of an almost ballistic trajectory. And we'll just try to rotate around here. Cool. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Just trying to get to the node. Chasing that node a little bit. This is probably good enough, if I had to guess, but let's just see what it ends up looking like. How's that? Yeah, that looks pretty good. I don't think we have a problem there. So we're going to go into surface retrograde from here. And our suicide burn DV is actually lower than the amount that we have in this, which is kind of awkward. I'm going to go ahead and decouple this at this time. Okay. So we are Out of there. Beautiful. And of course we should activate this engine. There we go. And we're going to extend our landing legs. So we do end up ditching 158 meters per second in this tank, but that'll be fine. We knew that that was very likely to happen. So let's go ahead and... I'm going to warp forward to about here, about 4 minutes ahead. Cool. And in we come. The actual tank is going to end up dropping a little ahead of us. Something that Bob thinks is funny. Okay, fantastic. So our suicide burn is going to be in about a minute 20. We're going to burn slightly early, of course. And I'm also going to mash space here to hopefully get that fairing out of there. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So we've got about a minute here before our landing burn commences. We'll just head on forward a little bit. 40 seconds. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 15 seconds. 10. 5. I'm going to start at 1 second here. Okay. I'm trusting it. Should I be? Probably. Yes. So we're breaking this on down. Cool. There's our impact there. Okay, now we're starting to go up because we overshot a little bit. But that's fine. That is completely fine. We're going to head back over to surface retrograde. Beautiful. And now we're trusting this again. So that just killed most of our momentum, but by no means did it kill all of it. Okay, now I'm doing this manually, and we're just coming on in here. Cool. And there we go. Nice, clean landing. No problem whatsoever. We can grab our crew report and an EVA report and a surface sample. There's no point in not doing that, but we don't have anything to do with it yet. We will process that in the science lab when the science lab gets here. So the order that we're going to deliver the components here is definitely science lab first, then our power module, then our mining module, then our habitation module. That's the order that we're going to deliver that in. So that's very, very clear. So these guys are living here now. They have started their colony, and that is fantastic. We're going to hop on back to the Space Center, and that's great. So we have multiple contracts to work on our colony on Minmus, right? That is definitely something that we have here, and definitely something that we need to work on. So bringing in the science module next would be great. I do think that we need to work a little bit on... Oh, it's very dark. Okay. I think we need to work a little bit on the delivery method of the science module. The science module was definitely the most awkward one that we delivered, and... let's go ahead and grab the science unit here. You can see here, we are lifting it off horizontally and delivering it like this. Which does work. We know it works. Do we have... Oh yeah, we must have a root part clipped into here. Yeah, that's the way that that worked. Okay. I mean, it is functional. We definitely don't want to lift this off with as aggressive of a gravity turn as the last one, if we want to do this. That's for sure. We want to be kind of cautious with that and push mostly up and then head over after detachment. Well, we'll head a little over. Yeah, we want to be pretty cautious with it. So, like, at least 50 meters per second up before we start heading over. Bare minimum. Probably closer to 75. In fact, let's just go ahead and do it. Let's get this thing up. Into orbit, anyway. We don't have time to deliver it. Let's just send it up. We know it'll be okay. I just want to get this thing on Minmus processing science as soon as we can. So, let's load this on in here. any moment now. Throttle up, SAS on, and up we go. Beautiful. So we're going to go straight up until we're going at about 75 meters per second. I want a much shallower gravity turn here. Okay. Now we'll head on over. And we'll lock to prograde. This is a much shallower gravity turn, for sure. We're also picking up a bit of a heading drift, which I'm trying to compensate for here by pulling it down like that. It does react by going back up, but it seems like overall, yeah, it's definitely wanting to pull up a little bit. We can compensate for it, or just burn our fuel differently. That's also possible. Like, we can just do a bigger inclination burn, or maybe a lesser. I'm not sure which direction this is actually taking us. Regardless, I do want to bring this down a bit, but we've got about 20 seconds left on our side boosters. You can see here our apoapsis height is much higher. This is a much, much shallower gravity turn. Like, way shallower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and mark. Off go our side tanks. And now we're already heading all the way over to the horizon, because our apoapsis height is already over a kilometer. Or 100 kilometers, I should say. A kilometer. A kilometer is not very far. So you can see there, as we went over, we picked up quite a rotation. And we're trying to pull over a little bit. I'm having to hold us here manually, but it should be fine. Cool. We'll just burn here and pick up a bunch of horizontal speed. So that puts us up through the atmosphere a lot more quickly. Ooh, okay. Our roll isn't very good in the atmosphere anyway. Noted. I won't try to do any roll correction. We are now officially in space. And our time to apoapsis is still increasing. We could call this good at 125, to be honest. And once here, we would go ahead and circularize. This is going to be a more extreme circularization burn, for sure. Yeah. To be expected, we're going to be burning a fair amount more fuel, but we do have this second stage on this, so that's really, really to be expected. I do want to extend our solar panels before I forget. There we go. Beautiful. So let's get ourselves into orbit here. Physics warping our way around to the maneuver node. There we go. And let's warp to our circularization burn. We'll go ahead and switch over to prograde, since this is a pure prograde burn. And we will commence this burn in about 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Now. Okay. Beautiful. So we don't actually care about this. I just wanted to use it for timing. And we'll bring this up, but we knew that we would have some prograde excitingness. That's the technical term. This is a little wobblier than some of our other designs. This is definitely a crappier design. And we'll definitely want to rework this design when we're going outside of the Kerbal system. I think that's very clear. Okay, so we are entering orbital mode now. There we go, and this'll do. Cool. So from here, we will, of course, head out to Minmus, but that is a job for next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadowwolf, MLohan80, Kentogan, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Kadra, Unisol, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.